I hear you.
There we go.
Do you hear me?
None of your beeswax.
That's hurtful.
How's that your business?
That's hurtful.
He's not going to hire you.
I know. It's what this is, right? It's one big audition for Dan.
Be good humans. Be good humans. Be good humans, or we will think you suck. Be good humans. Be good humans. Be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Hey, happy Friday. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
You got big plans for the weekend?
I do, actually.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, what do you like? Anything you want to elaborate
That's
on?
just none of your business.
Oh, see, that's always the way you roll.
But I'm really looking forward to my Friday.
I just know that I'm not invited to any of it.
No, you will be, of course, when it's over. Now, did you have any routines as a kid?
Well, yes.
What did you do on weekends?
On the weekends?
Yeah.
Oh, one thing and one thing only. That's Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, me too.
100%.
I knew it.
I would often, get up as early as possible, like before anything was on.
Right.
You remember what was on at that point?
Dude,
when you would
dude, yes, I can tell you right now.
You did call me dude.
I did. It was the Indian test pattern.
Yes.
I was the kid that got up super early, ran downstairs, turned on the TV, and stared for 20, 25 minutes at this test pattern until the station signed on and they started playing my cartoons.
You see, because Gen Z listeners and viewers, assuming we have
Test
any,
pattern.
that's how it used to begin, the broadcast date. First, there were 3 channels. I'm going to stop.
3 channels.
Three
ABC,
channels.
CBS, and NBC.
That is correct. And
PBS, but it comes in snowy.
No, you only watch PBS when you're sick.
No, but they had Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Oh, well, yeah, late at night. Yeah, you're right.
Night, and it was so snowy, I still thought I saw a boob. Yes, that was a boob and a bra.
We're so off topic, although I could talk about boobs all day.
Yeah.
The thing is, cartoons, like my life revolved around Saturday morning cartoons.
Mine too. I was that kid. Yeah.
Okay. So you know what my next question is going to be then is like, let's talk about let's talk first about the ones that made us laugh. Like, what were your favorite funny cartoons?
Well, look, if it came from Chuck Jones, that was my cartoon crack.
Yeah.
To me, it was cartoon crack. Popeye was a rotation go-to.
Popeye, you say?
But my very, very favorite cartoon growing up was, look at your T-shirt, Johnny Quest. It was Johnny Damn Quest. I loved it. And unfortunately, caused a great deal of turmoil in the Phelps household.
Why?
Because where I lived, they would air the Johnny Quests late morning, like 11:30.
Oh, we're getting into game time.
We're getting into American Bandstand.
Oh.
My sister had to watch American Bandstand. It was on opposite Johnny Quest. So there was this big battle. And it was usually my mom ending it with, Bri, you and your brother have been watching cartoons all morning. Let her watch something. And I could only pray that the phone would ring and it's one of her girlfriends. And she'd totally get into the conversation, yakking. And I could put it over back to Johnny Quest. But, dude, I loved that show.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same for me. I mean, laughter-wise, totally with you on the Chuck Jones front, the Looney Tunes of it all. I was also a big fan of Pink Panther.
Oh, yeah. The theme song.
And although they were, we saw them in reruns, Flintstones. I was amused by the
Jetsons
Flintstones.
And Flintstones. Loved Hanna-Barbera.
Also, I was a big fan of Fat Albert.
I
really love the richness of character too.
Yeah.
They're very clear characters.
Yes.
Big fan. Super Friends. Super into Super Friends. I like Super Friends.
I did because that was on right before Johnny Quest, so I was waiting for it. But yeah, superhero cartoons were fine.
Yeah.
But I was way into the ones I mentioned.
Well, to be clear, the one of the thrills and chills variety, my all-time favorite, Scooby-Doo.
Really?
100%.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo. I can't tell you how many times I'd be sitting in the writer's room on CSI New York and we would all be halfway through a plot before we realized, oh my God, we saw this on Scooby-Doo.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
the word for you meddling little kids.
Exactly.
I don't want to make you, envious or anything, but Hanna-Barbera actually drew us into an episode of Scrappy-Doo. You remember Scrappy-Doo?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something to be proud of or not.
I'm just saying, they drew us.
It is
cool. That was awesome. We were audience
cool.
members in a thing. But let me ask you this. You have three beautiful kids, and they're grown.
Yeah,
Now,
not kids anymore, but yes.
But when they were little,
Yeah.
what cartoons did they watch? And the reason I'm asking is there is one particular cartoon that my friends with little kids would tell me about, not to say, oh, they love this cartoon, but Brian, you've got to see this cartoon.
Yeah.
Because it's as much for adults as it is for kids.
Oh, I bet I can guess what this is.
Go ahead.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
100%. So that was my kid's favorite cartoon, and I realized very quickly that, oh my gosh, this isn't just for them. This is for me as well. And,
Yes.
and by the way, when we were watching those Chuck Jones Looney Tunes as kids, those really weren't for us. They were theatrical shorts in their early
For
days.
adults going to the movies
For adults.
before the main title starts.
Right, but you watch an episode of SpongeBob and it's firing on all cylinders, right? There's stuff for the young ones, but there's all sorts of stuff for us. And so I completely fell in love with that show because I think that show gets at the heart of what makes such a great and memorable cartoon, which is that it doesn't pander to kids.
Nope. They don't want to be pandered to.
No. But yet at the same time, it makes them still feel seen and heard in the ways that some of the ones that we loved as kids made us feel. And so that's...
But when mom and dad can, enjoy them along with you. Because this is the thing. When... My dad also liked Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah.
But when he didn't go to work on Saturdays, and I'm sitting watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and he's walking through the room. He's not going to sit and watch it, but he'd just start cracking up. And it made me feel so cool to be laughing at the same thing my father was.
Yeah. That's quite a bonding experience. Now, let me ask you this. I know you've done a lot of acting. Have you worked at all in animation, like voiceover stuff?
A few things. Yeah, I voiceover. I did a few characters, but I also did voiceover work on some film and television. But not a lot. Probably stuff you wouldn't reckon. Well, maybe you know this one, but I played the voice of this character called Darth Vader on the first 3 Star Wars films.
No, legendary
that was me.
work.
That
extraordinary.
was me.
I think a lot of people confuse that with someone else.
No, I don't know. I don't care. I knew, I know the truth.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once I did the Star Wars films as Darth Vader, I started getting all these offers.
I can only imagine.
To do other voiceovers. And to be honest with you, I had to cancel a lot of them, or I had to just not accept a lot of them because I couldn't be bothered.
But
there is a silver lining to this.
What's that, Brian?
When they would call and offer me, this big voiceover, gig, I would usually turn it down. And the good thing is, the silver lining is, if they couldn't get me, they got Morgan Freeman.
So
and
you not only built your own career, you built his.
But obviously, he needed the work. So
good human.
That's
good
so
human.
It worked out for everybody. It was a win-win situation. What about you? In your corpulent resume, that is Trey Calloway. If I were to look at it, it would take me a week to 10 days to get through. But if I were to look at it, would there be anything concerning animation?
Yes.
In it.
Yes. Yes. I interned at Disney while I was a student at USC.
Okay.
I helped shade in storyboard art for The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh, I like that one.
And then I wound up later writing some Lion King cartoons, and then I had a brief deal at DreamWorks to write an animated feature for them. But it is a whole different skill set. But as a writer, as a producer, it's just I think... It takes everything that is hard about writing sometimes and makes it even harder because you have so many other things to think about creatively.
Yeah.
But especially when it gets into that zone that we're talking about with SpongeBob SquarePants, where it's like, this is for a multi-tiered audience. Like I want to fire on all those cylinders.
How great to expand your experience too. It was kind of a new thing.
Oh, yeah.
But seriously, I was honored to do this project. Because back in the KOS show, we had these 2 guests in there. They were partners, and they were executive producers, creators of this insanely popular animated series
called
Phineas and Ferb.
Oh my God!
So
that's that next level category.
That's right there, right? Or beyond.
No. It fires on every cylinder imaginable.
So we connected. It was a great interview. The guys were wonderful.
Yeah.
And we kind of kept in touch. And a couple of weeks after the interview, one of them called and said, "Hey, if you're free Thursday afternoon, you can come down and do some voices on our."
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
So wait,
when can I come now? No, it's Thursday, but I can come now. That kind of thing.
What kind of voices you do on Phineas and Ferb?
That was the awesome thing. it was an experience. I'm driving, and I'm driving there so excited, and I realize I don't know what voices I'm doing. They didn't say. I don't know the script. I don't know the plot. I'm totally new at this.
No, but that's where you're in your best comfort zone.
Well, I get there. First of all, it was the most relaxed, most fun, upbeat, funny set I've ever been on. You go into the little room, you put on the headphones, and they kind of give you a tutorial on what's you're going to hear 3 beeps, and that's it. But again, I had no idea what I was doing, but it was the kind of thing, and they weren't the main characters at all, by no means. I was sort of like one of the guys that were the utility guys. They just bring me in and go, Brian, do a janitor.
Oh, nice.
And I would do a janitor voice. And
nice.
Then they call a few weeks later, Brian, do James Bond.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And then another one, be a weatherman, a TV weatherman. So it was that kind of adventure. Then I learned to love getting that call and going in going, I wonder what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
And just creating while you're there. They were wonderful.
Well, listen, would you believe it if I told you that long before you were doing voices on Phineas and Ferb, I knew Dan Povenmire back in college.
You're kidding.
I had hair.
Wait, at USC?
I had lots of hair. Yes, at USC.
No, I'm skipping over the hair joke because it's too easy. But so you guys went to school together, USC.
We did, and I'm going to prove it to you. You know how?
He's a genius, by the way. But go ahead.
You know how I'm going to prove it to you?
Okay, prove it.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
You can't do that to me.
Oh, I just did.
You left me hanging.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Bing! It's like magic. Remember Dan Povenmire? We were talking about Dan Povenmire.
One of my favorite
Look,
guys.
here he sits.
Jeez.
This is the Dan Povenmire.
You beamed him in.
Now, here's the
Yes.
thing. I know Dan as this. I mentioned we've known each other since college. I know him as this amazingly talented artist and singer and songwriter and storyteller.
That's right. We were in bands at the same time.
Yes,
We'd
yes.
go see each other's bands.
Also, I could not get enough of his daily cartoon strip in the USC Daily newspaper for students,
Yes.
and Life is a Fish,
Yes.
which was fantastically funny, which I still think should be a hit series of its own, but I'm sure that I'll leave that to you.
Maybe.
But I loved that. I loved hanging out with him. But the rest of the world, of course, knows Dan Povenmire as a multi-Emmy award-winning, BAFTA award-winning, Annie and PGA award-winning creator of Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law, and also a guy who has worked on shows like Family Guy. And Ren and Stimpy and Hey Arnold and
SpongeBob.
And that's what I'm going to. And SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who is revered by kids and adults alike as a cartoon god who makes you laugh, who makes you think, who makes you sing, who makes you dance, who makes you feel. And just when you get full of all the warm, fuzzy feelings.
Yeah.
He is also the evil Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
That's right. That's me. When he talks, it's my silly voice that comes out of his face.
Unbelievable. Now, welcome, first of all.
Yes.
And we're honored to have you with us.
Thank you for being here.
Dan and I've met on a couple of occasions, but, you know, I not like you. You guys go way back. But I got to ask, and the room can answer, is this the first show we've ever had that we have a guy that was a child prodigy as a guest?
100%.
Get this, folks.
Is that because it says child prodigy on my wiki page?
It could
Pretty
be
much.
that.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
But
I get hell for that. I didn't tell them that.
But I wanted, because this is a fact, you started drawing
when I was
2 years old.
Yes.
2 years old. And by 10, you were selling your work in art shows. But
I was a professional artist
but
at
I
like
want to
10 or 11.
But Dan, I want to know, what do you draw when you're 2? When you're 2 years old?
Like, here's the thing. I have these drawings and I have them up in my house because my mom gave them to me because they were in her house for a long time.
Yep.
And to me, when I was growing up, I was like, it was nice that she kept these, but they look like a kid drew them. They look like a but they look like a chimpanzee and a giraffe
You're
and
two.
a jaguar.
You're two.
And I didn't realize till I had kids of my own how far over the curve I was, because they look like a 12-year-old kid drew these pictures.
Okay.
Wow.
And and I have kids that are really amazingly artistically talented, but at 2 years old they were drawing like a circle and maybe 2 dots for eyes with sticks coming off like this.
Sure.
And this were like you could tell, oh, that's a jaguar as opposed to a tiger or a cat, or they look like the animals they're supposed to look like.
Of course.
And then I realized, oh, that's why she kept them.
Yeah.
Because she was like looking at what everybody else was drawing. And
So was that your main focus from 2?
From 2 on, I drew for a very, very long time, just because I would get attention for it and because I loved doing it.
Sure.
And I was always very fast at it. And then when I started, about 11, I guess my mom got me some rapidograph pens, and I started doing like sort of semi-photorealistic animals and scenery and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, we should go get these limited edition printed, which was like those lithograph prints were a big thing now. And we'll take them to art shows. And I made so much money doing, like selling art, because I would go to the juried shows where you would just send in your art. Yeah. And not anything really about yourself, and they would decide whether you were good enough to be in this show all around the Gulf Coast. And then I would show up, and they were like, "Is your dad the guy?" I was like, "No, it's me." It's, and stuff.
So really, it's his mom who's the good human we should be talking to.
Yeah, she was very good, and they were very, very. I work with a lot of people in animation who had to fight against their upbringing, against their parents, because they didn't think being an artist could be a real
sustainable career.
A sustainable career. And now most of them have proved their parents wrong, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you did this." But I know people who got sort of disowned by their parents because they wanted to go into animation. And my parents were always like, this is something you do really well. You should pursue this as a career.
That is lucky to fortunate to have those kind of parents. I too had that angle of parenting that was thrust on me. Again, it's great to thank your lucky stars that you had those. Support.
I was raised by wolves.
Yeah, you can tell.
I
Anyway,
was raised by ocelots, South American wildcats.
or perhaps a platypus. Okay, so when you're a kid and you're doing all this art, are you finding any influences yourself while the rest of us are just vegging over a box of Twinkies watching Saturday morning cartoons? Are you watching any cartoons?
I was much like Brian. Chuck Jones is sort of where I went all the time, and I liked all the cartoons that were on. I think that's a missing thing that the generation once even cable became a thing. You didn't have that Saturday morning cartoon.
It wasn't a
thing.
tradition.
Yeah, it wasn't as traditional. But Chuck Jones was always, and I didn't realize it till I was a little older and was able to sort of research who did which of those cartoons, that his were always the ones that I found the most.
Did you ever meet him?
I met him once.
Me too.
I met him once, and then I did his job at Warner Brothers on some shorts for a while, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. I'm going to be able to, he's going to come in and meet, and he'll probably hate what we're doing because he was a little curmudgeon-y. Yeah. But I'll get to show him what, like my take on these things. And he passed away the weekend before I started.
Rats. Well, it's sort of like passing a torch.
So I was like, we're never going to, because I did a couple cartoons during that time that never got released because of weird behind the scenes politics between the executive producer and everything like that. You can find them on YouTube because they were released internationally, but not in the States.
Oh, I'll look.
There was one called Museum Scream. It's I think one of the best things I've ever done. And I felt like
that's big talk.
It was very sad for me because I felt like he didn't like most of what happened after he stopped doing it with him. And I felt like I could show him this one and he would go, finally somebody gets it. That's how it felt to me. It's because we had like a big piece of existing classical music that nobody had ever used called the Thunder and Lightning Polka by Strauss. Right. And I just and it was like it was Sylvester and Tweety at the Natural History Museum at night, and like going through all the exhibits and stuff like that. And there was lots of it was all visual gags. There was only like 4 lines of dialogue in the whole thing for 7 minutes. And Sylvester gets pushed through a prism at one point in the Discovery Zone area and becomes 7 different colored Sylvesters who are all trying to get Tweety and all trying to keep each other from getting Tweety. And every hit in the face is a cymbal crash, everything like that.
That's fantastic.
And it just really felt like an old one. And when I was done with it, I was like just so high, and I was also sort of so sad that I didn't get to show that. To Chuck.
Let's back up for a second though, because let's get so when we met in college, like I mentioned, I was certainly aware of your work in the Daily Trojan, which I was a fan of, but I was also a big fan of yours. Of your music, right? So Dan fronted a band called Keep Left, which is fantastic. 2 of their songs still replay in my head on a daily one, and I bring these up not only because they're masterful pop rock songs, but also because they are lyrically subversive in all of the ways. Right. So
I'm wondering which ones they are.
Okay,
now.
one was called, and the title alone. One was called "I Took Your Mom to Disneyland."
Yes. Okay.
and the other one was called "Throwing Things at Cars."
Yes.
Right. And so those 2 songs, to me, sort of speak to the heart of also your skills as a songwriter or as a pop craftsman. Like it's something subversive lyrically, but also a catchy melody and a hook.
Just so what genre? Rock? Punk?
We were sort of. I describe us as we were Bare Naked Ladies before Bare Naked Ladies.
So right. That is so correct.
When everybody was looking for the next Nirvana, which was not us at all. We were like this crunchy pop band. We had serious songs and joke songs, and we had 2 different lead singers that we would trade off, and we'd do a lot of 4-part harmony and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that was the kind of music it was.
So I know it was a journey, but to the extent you're able to encapsulate it, how did you get from like the Daily Trojan cartoons and making these great little works of pop rock, like how did you make that jump into animation?
Well, I had always been able to draw anything I wanted to draw, so that was an easier way to get into the entertainment industry. I originally wanted to direct live action films.
Yeah.
And but it's harder to convince somebody that you can do that when everybody's trying to do that. And there's no, but somebody who doesn't even draw can look at a good drawing and know that's a good drawing. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Sure.
So that was always an easier way for me to get work. But my first writing gig I got because of the comic strip at USC. I went in because Rocco's Modern Life was hiring, and they wanted. It was like the end of a season on The Simpsons. I was working on The Simpsons at the time, and they were looking for people who could write and draw at the same time, which is a much smaller talent pool.
Right.
So I just took a book of my comic strip in and handed it to the supervising director, and he looked through and he laughed at the first like 5 cartoons, and he went, "All right, you're hired." It was like that was the whole conversation.
Yeah. Wow.
When can you start? I can start on Monday. Let's do this.
Can I see these online somewhere?
I still have a copy of this little book.
You had a book?
We had books that I made and sold in the bookstore at campus, and like twice a year there'd be a arts and crafts fair at campus, and because I bound them myself, I was allowed to sell those and like that. And that when I would just rake in the money. There's usually like a line at my booth every day because the strip had become so successful.
When you got started then in animation, was it always an intention in the back of your brain to decide, because of the band, because of your musicianship, to sort of try and incorporate music into the picture in some way? Or?
Yeah, like Swampy and I started writing on Rocco's Modern Life together, and we always wrote songs for episodes because we felt like, I don't remember a single storyline from the Archies, but I can sing like 4 of those songs. Sugar, which is, we all know that song, right?
Which was written by the father of someone else we went to USC with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was John Barry's dad wrote that song.
Ron Dante sang it. Thank you.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, I met him at an event just recently for John's dad. But so that was, to us, it was like, that's immortality. If you can, eep, op, ork,
Oh, yeah.
You still remember that song, even though you may not remember what episode it was from or anything like that. So we were like,
and George's drum solo in that was brilliant.
Really impressive. Drummer to drummer, you are right.
Yeah.
You are right.
So to us, that's the closest thing you get to immortality. We're like, if we can write songs for these things, kids will still remember these songs even after we pass away.
Oh, yeah.
You know, years from now. And you know, like with your guy was showing me that video of his daughters in a band, and they play the Phineas and Ferb theme song. And I've been at Bowling for Soup concerts, and I've seen videos of people playing that song at Lollapalooza and stuff like that, and just everybody sings along. From the very first, you know, they just there's 104, and then from there on in, everybody's there.
Mission accomplished.
And it's like, you know, like I was sort of like, I hope these sort of stand the test of time. And now, you know, on TikTok, if you just look up the name of any of the Phineas songs, there's literally hundreds of thousands of videos of people lip syncing to them or covering them or doing the choreography that I drew on Post-it notes back in, you know, 2005.
I love what you said, Dan, and this was an interview I read a couple of days ago concerning the songs. You would go in and just try to make each other laugh. And that resonated with me. I totally relate to that.
Well, and that energy is I think what audiences tap into as well. Like, I know that from sitting on the couch with my kids watching Phineas and Ferb after we finished watching SpongeBob SquarePants. It was like, it was literally, again, like we said before, firing on both of those cylinders. I was thoroughly enjoying myself.
We were always trying to make the adults in the room laugh.
And it 100% works.
Again, mission accomplished. But Dan, I want to bring this up because I want to thank you. And I tell people that you guys dropped it on our show at KLOS, which is probably untrue. But I just remember us just playing the whole thing, and you guys were there, and we loved it. But you and your partner, Phineas and Ferb partner, Swampy Marsh, are responsible for the most hilarious and at the same time educational rap song. I'm talking hilarious. I'm talking beautifully pretty. I urge you to go to YouTube and find Animatin'.
Oh yes,
Now this thing was so well produced and so funnily written. So
it's not animated. It's our behind the scenes video. To explain how the show is made.
Exactly. You and your staff, your crew, they all got involved. But I can't tell you how well written and how well performed this was. And the video is outstandingly entertaining. So I urge, this is Uncle Brian talking, I urge you guys out there to go find Animatin'.
It's super funny, but it also has that quality. Even though it's not animated, it has that quality of like a Schoolhouse Rock kind of thing. I actually learned from it, right? But it's also amusing.
I have so many friends who work in animation who said, "Thank you for that," because now when people ask me what I do for a living, like how this works, I just show them this song and they get it.
It answered a lot of questions for me. It truly did.
So let me ask you this, Dan, did your approach in any way to animation change when you had kids of your own?
I wonder sometimes if Phineas and Ferb is a different show because of when we sold it, because we created that show together when we were on Rocco's Modern Life, and neither of us had kids, and it took 13 years to sell it. You know, we kept pitching it to different studios, and they would get all the way up the level, to the top guy, and then that guy would go, I don't get it. You know, it was all over town for a long time, and then by the time it sold, we both had kids, and I think that we made some choices that we might have made. Like one of the choices was, we don't want the kids to be like, we looked at what was on TV for kids at the time, and so much of it was kids being jerks or being idiots. They were every character was either stupid or they were mean to each other, because that's the easiest place to go for humor.
Of course.
And we were like, I wonder, and I have a friend, Tim Doyle, who Tim told me that he wouldn't let his kid watch. When I told him that I had sold the show to Disney Channel, he said, I don't let my kid watch Disney Channel. I was like, really? That seems like the most innocuous, like this should be easy. And he said, no, because Disney Channel wants it both ways, because they always have a good message, but the interesting character is always the mean, backstabbing one, and I felt like my kid was starting to repeat those things.
It's easy to imitate.
And I was like, I wonder if we could make a show that was edgy, but still was a show that Tim Doyle would let his kid watch. And you know what? Phineas and Ferb was her favorite show.
Yeah.
She got old.
So what was that like when Disney goes, okay, it's been 13 years, or they turned it down, right?
Well, Disney turned it down like a year before because they were looking for a girls show with girl, like this. And then they called out of the blue and said, all right, I know you're not expecting this call, but we want to option Phineas and Ferb, which just means they want to like see what else we could do with it.
Right.
It wasn't a full on pilot yet, but that ended up happening. And Swampy was living in England at the time. I had to call him. I figure out what time it was in England to call him to tell him that. And then they sort of. We were blessed by the fact that there was a big shakeup above us. So nobody was paying attention to us.
Oh, that's the prime spot you want to be
So
in.
we just made whatever show we wanted to make and pitched them the storyboards, and then they just all loved it. And they, and felt like, oh, okay, and then it tested. I think it's still the best testing thing.
Well, Disney is still a huge icon part of our lives because they somehow learned to grow and adapt.
Yes.
And Phineas and Ferb on the Disney Channel was something completely new.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like anything they had done before
at all.
And it, like I said earlier, an insane success. They they loved it so much so that I can't imagine when they call and go, okay, we're going to give you some percentage of the merch.
It's been nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's been nice.
It's nice to stand in those parades at California Adventure.
It is. It's
see your characters all around the park.
That was the coolest thing that's ever happened in my career. And I've had a lot of I got to write a song with Slash. I got to see Wayne Newton sing the Perry the Platypus theme.
Oh my God.
On stage in Vegas with platypus themed dancing girls. And, like I got to see the live show that like the Disney on Ice people do. I've seen a lot of really cool things, but there's nothing better than being in the parks and seeing your characters come out and sing songs that you guys that we had written. And like the first time that happened. Like I was producing a movie for a Phineas and Ferb movie for Disney Channel. The show, Take Two with Phineas and Ferb, Doofenshmirtz's rants online.
A lot going on.
We were doing a whole bunch of stuff all at one time, and they said, "Hey, we're going to do a show in the parks. We're going to, and we approved what songs they were going to do, approved the design of their vehicle and stuff like that.
Amazing.
And then they went off and choreographed it and created this show.
It was one thing you didn't have to do.
And then they sent me an email saying, hey, the show is up and running in California Adventure. If next time you're there, you should check it out. I was like, okay, good. I was so busy, I completely forgot about that email.
Amazing.
And then like a month or so later, I'm there with my girls just because like some friends were going, okay, we'll all go to Disneyland.
Sure.
And I'm walking around and I'm like, wait a second. I think I got an email that and I went over and I asked somebody, I was like, is there like, this is a weird question. Is there like some sort of Phineas and Ferb dance party that happens? And they go, oh yeah, it's right over there. It's going to start in about 15 minutes. And there were already people lined up for it who had like Phineas and Ferb shirts on and Barry the Platypus. And I was like, and I told my wife didn't even know this existed.
Yeah. By the way, I like to think of you in the
yes.
back of the crowd, unable to see your own show, right?
Well, it was great because I said, hey guys, come over here. We're just going to line up here. There's something going to happen here. I think you guys are going to really love it, And they're like, and my daughter's like, Dad, it's hot. Can we go on the river rapids? And it's like, no, hold on, just wait like this. And they're like, Dad, I think we like this. And my wife is looking around. She's seeing all the Phineas gear on all the people, and she's like, honey, what is this? And I was like, wait. And then the girls suddenly go, wait, Dad, listen. And they can hear the Phineas and Ferb theme song, and it's getting louder and louder. And they come around and they're just, it's like all these girls in Fireside Girl costumes teaching kids how to do the choreography. It's all these songs that my children grew up with because I would play them the songs before it even went on the air. Sure. And my wife and I just sat there and hugged each other and cried.
Oh yeah, no.
For like the whole time.
You said you went with friends and their kids. Can you imagine being the dad of one of his friends? He's like, that happens. Yeah.
I sold insurance
what do we
today.
get, Dad?
Exactly.
What do we get?
That's like
But speaking of your girls, now at this point it's also become a family business because one of your kids, Melly, not just a voice; she's an Emmy nominated.
She's the voice of Gretel on Hamster and Gretel.
Yes.
Emmy nominated.
Yes, and she got nominated for an Emmy, which is crazy.
This must have been a completely proud full circle moment for you.
Oh my God! It was. I was not expecting it because I was under the impression we weren't putting her up for the Emmy because I felt because there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Oh, yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like, it's weird enough that my daughter ended up like she didn't like she doesn't really even want to be an actress. She was like in the house when I did it, I had her do the temp, and then everybody sort of fell in love with it.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to put people out to try to put together clips and stuff.
Of course.
Right.
But they already had clips because they had put Pamela Adlon up for an Annie before, and all of her scenes were with Melly, so they just used those and put them out. And so somebody texted me and said, "Hey, congratulate Melly on her nomination." I went,
Wait, but,
"For what?" They said for her Emmy nomination. I said, I don't think so. They sent me the link, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So I got to call her from, and FaceTime her. I said, "Can you get out of class right now? Can you just go outside the classroom for a second and let me tell you what's going on?"
What was her reaction?
She started just bawling, and I shot a video of it, or one of my writers shot a video of her reaction on the thing. And it's such a great sort of like genuine reaction from her. And I was telling the writers, because they were like, "You should FaceTime her right now." We were in the writers' room, and I said, "Well, guys, she's a peculiar kid. She may just go, 'Oh, that's cool,' and then go back into class." It's like I never know how she's going to react to stuff. And she just really got the importance and how huge it was. It was really
proud
cool.
of you. You proud of her. That's
there's so much going on there, and also
yeah.
you have so connected with so many people. Now that you got Phineas and Ferb back in production, yes?
Yes. I think because of pandemic, I think that helped us a lot because of my TikToks. I think that it's always apparently one of the top 5 things on Disney Plus. And they started going, "Why did we stop doing that?" We're like, "Well, we were tired."
Why did we cut off our income stream?
were you up for let's
I was like,
redo.
if you want to make that happen, I love those characters. We've gone back to them a couple of times. We made a movie in 2020 that was like the number 5 movie of the year.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's dive back in if you want to do that. But it was sort of daunting because we've made so many of them and they're considered this sort of high water mark. And it was like, are we going to spend most of the time in the writers' room going, "No, did that. Like Simpsons did it." It's like, except we did it.
This is like season 11 of CSI.
And the new stuff is spectacular.
Was there something new that you wanted to accomplish by going back? Was there anything that you hadn't done?
There was a list of like 5 or 6 different stories that one of which is a possible another movie that we're gonna make. That I was like, "Oh, I would love to do this. I would love to do this." Now that we have streaming, it's a new technology. I would love to do this. We haven't gotten to most of those because we've been having such a good time just doing new, fresh stories with these characters and sort of breaking the formula in certain ways to sort of, get more comedy out of it. And it's all, the writer's room's about half people who had worked on the show back in the day and half young people who grew up with the show as their favorite show. There's so much energy in there.
Well, look, as we all know, thanks to you, Dr. Doofenshmirtz is, evil incarnate.
Yes.
Let's be true. So it made us kind of start wondering, what would he think if he knew that we were doing a show about celebrating good things that people do, the good in people, the good humans? What is
the opposite of a good human?
He would
thing?
Always try. I do this whenever anybody wants me to call. Like a friend, can you call my kid at college? And tell me, he would be like,
I know everybody's going to want you to do good things, but the other side of that coin is evil is a wide open field. There's a lot of career opportunities. Is what I'm saying. You should consider that.
Something to keep in mind.
Yes.
That's great.
So, you can go into evil. You can follow my illustrious footsteps.
Okay, so look, Dan,
yes.
It is obvious to everyone watching and listening. You have done a great deal, not just for kids, making kids feel seen and heard without pandering to them in any way, but also their parents. We've all been entertained and amused in all kinds of ways, and so you have really very directly worked with families on your own. So you have nothing else to prove from where we sit. But I also know that you are very much involved in working with an amazing organization called Door of Hope.
Yeah, Door of Hope is a organization that gets people out of homelessness.
And families specifically, right?
Families specifically. It gives them a place to stay, and it teaches them coping skills and how to stay out of homelessness. And the thing that I always find, their recidivism rate is so low.
Yeah.
Like it's I forget what it is, but it's like less than 10% of the people who go through that program ever end up homeless again, which is, to me, that's the proof in the pudding right there.
Right, 100%. This is
it's a great organization,
incredible charity out of Pasadena, California. Really one of the only homeless providers that can shelter any kind of a family together in their own private unit. Right, this is single moms, single dads, 2-parent families together with their kids. So thank you for your work on their behalf. You guys can find out more about Door of Hope by going online to doorofhope.us is their website. But yeah, I mean, listen, between that and everything else you've done, I feel fairly comfortable in giving him our good human stamp of approval here,
Not that he needs it, but absolutely.
Yeah, you really don't need anything else from us.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show and seeing you again.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask.
I don't think I've seen either of you since before pandemic.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
But you gave the name of your college band, and you guys went to each other's shows. What was the name of your band, Ray?
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna deliver this right to number one. Amethyst.
Amethyst.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that name, and I have like a CD with.
You might. I don't know.
Oh, I gotta get that.
No.
I want to
You
hear.
actually don't.
No, I had to bug him to burn it for me because.
Anyway, we were no keep left. I can tell you that much. Dan Povenmire, thank you so much for being here with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you most of all for being a good human.
I try.
We will be right back after this. Thanks, Dan.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Hey, everybody, if you haven't already, go to begoodhumanspodcast.com. There's going to be a little place there for you to make your suggestions. If you have good humans in your life, people you think we might want to talk to on the show.
Absolutely. And while you're at it, follow us on all the socials. It's the usual suspects. It's Facebook and Instagram and Threads and X or whatever they call it. And last but not least, do us a favor, if you're an especially good human, follow us on Patreon. And there you're going to get all kinds of fun extra stuff that didn't make it into the show because we tend to be a little bit too verbose. Member exclusive videos and posts, maybe even a private exclusive message from Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Maybe.
Anyway, bottom line is you're going to get super cool access to all kinds of things that you can't get for free on the podcast or through the socials. So
hope you enjoyed the show today, and hope you're having a great day. And be good humans. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck. Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.